back with First Trades, and the euphoria on the street continues with both Nifty and Sensex hitting fresh record highs. But the big news that we saw immediately yesterday after market hours was the government approval coming in for that 7,280 crore first of its kind rare earth magnet scheme. What does it mean for some of the industry players? To understand that, let's welcome on board Mr. Ramchandra Kollareddy, the promoter and CEO at Midwest. Mr. Kollareddy, hi, morning, and thanks for your time. Now, give us a sense of what this scheme means to you. Sizable chunk, 7,280 crore rupees. And for a company like yours, you are a very prominent player in the rare earth metals scheme, and that operation is a big part of your business. So give us a sense of what this scheme means for you and the rare earth operations, that segment of your company.
Sure. First, huge respect and thanks to PM and the cabinet for the scheme. I think we just started a long game now, and I think all the levers are falling into place to be self-sufficient. So we as a company are focused on the supply chain. So if you look at the overall, the downstream, you have the starting with the permanent magnet for which the scheme is. This is a scheme which does oxide to permanent magnet. And then we as a company are focusing on tying up that supply chain, basically the oxides. So we are going to produce the oxides, which are going to help the industry set up these capacities. So that's what our role in the whole thing is. So ideally, India has close to 6 million tons of the rare earth materials, oxides that can be produced. But we produce hardly 600 tons per year, I think, which is less than 1% of the global production. So I think that is the problem we are trying to address as a company.
I remember you telling us that you are starting a facility in Sri Lanka with respect to rare earth processing.
Yes.
Where are we on that? And because this entire processing was not allowed in India because it was limited to public sector, and now the government is opening up for private sector here. What is the kind of opportunity that throws up for you?
On Sri Lanka, we are on the final permitting stage. We'll start building out the plant sometime next quarter. I think we are in next few quarters, you'll see material coming out of Sri Lanka, basically to Indian market, supporting these permanent magnet manufacturers. And on a policy front, the government is very proactive in inviting private players like us in developing these resources that I just spoke about, millions of tons on South Indian eastern coast, and which is very strategic. I think it's a very exciting time for our company, and we are not very far from turning this problem on its head. And I think we and along with other companies will be taking this opportunity, and it's a perfect timing. And the turning the crisis into an opportunity is, I think, what we are good at as a nation. I think we are glad that everything is falling into place.
The government has set up a 7 years roadmap for this.
Right.
For a private sector company like you, what would be the timeline to put up everything once the approvals comes in?
Yeah, so for a private sector company to set up a permanent magnet plant, typically it could take around 2 to 3 years. And if you understand the scheme a little bit deeper, the government is allocating 150 crores for the capex, which will for a 1,200 ton capacity, which is approximately, depending on where the plant and machinery is coming from, approximately 15% of the capex subsidy. Even more important, right? Today, you're talking about 258 crores per year for each of these companies to produce 1,200 tons of these magnets. That will translate to close to 2,000, 2,100 rupees per kg of magnet produced. If you look at the global price of magnets that China has been selling and put this figure against it, you're close to 25% of the subsidy at current prices. It's huge benefit that these companies, or a huge support that these companies are getting. So I think the 6,000 ton scheme is just a beginner. And I think my personal take is there will be a round 2, round 3 of these PLI schemes coming in, because if even at 6,000 tons today, we are maybe close to 10% of the global production. So we have a long way to go. And more importantly, we can produce our own oxides. We don't have to rely on other countries to import these materials.
Entire production or the entire scheme which has been put in place will make us self-sufficient with respect to oxides and rare earth magnets, or will still continue to import these magnets? And what should be the kind of what is kind of growth that you see in terms of volumes in this segment?
So, I mean, one thing that we need to understand is right now there are critical applications like the defense and the green energy that we talk about. What we're actually missing also is the electronic side. So every device that you hold in your hand that produces sound, that produces vibration, needs a rare earth magnet. They're tiny magnets, but they'll be 10, 20 in your iPhone. There'll be 2 or 3 in your AirPods. So if you want to be totally self-reliant, right, then we have a long way to go. I mean, we want to make electronics for the world. We want to make all these components for the world. Then maybe we have a 7-8 year journey, and maybe we have to do 4-5 times the capacity that is being planned now. But it's a great beginner to start with, because with this, all the supply chain starts. For example, for a company like us, who was planning to build, let's say, 1,000-ton rare earth oxide plant, now we look at 2,000, 3,000 tons based on uh, all these events that are turning, right? So I think it's a big boost.
Means that you will be coming back to the market to raise some funds because you will be increasing your capex?
Right now we are good for our current projects, and based on this activities, what is happening, we have the ability to raise debt and other forms. So let's figure out. But right now, I think we're good for the next 12 to 18 months.
Enough private sector participation, given the fact that the subsidy which comes to is around 25% of the cost of magnets coming from China?
So China is a tricky, if I'm making mistakes, very tricky, because there's indexes on a daily basis on China, and there's a lot of elements that go into determining the price at the highest level. So this scheme itself might have an impact on the pricing, right? We don't know. So I think we should focus on what we can do as a country within the country, and then I think with this support we are self-sufficient. Most critical thing is we have our own monazite. Without monazite, there is no starting point. You need to secure the monazite from Africa or from Vietnam or all these countries, and which China is already at a better position. So I think the strength lies in having our own monazite. The second is the government's outlook and the policy which is coming in, inviting private players into this segment. I think these two are good enough for us to take on the market.
Okay, so Mr. Kodareddy, this sounds very optimistic, and good to know that Midwest has or is comfortable rather with the current capex levels. On that note, we'll let you go and hope to interact with you when we see these further PLI rounds, like you're expecting them to come up.
Sure.
Okay. On
Thank
that
you.
note,